Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of RC Retirement. Today I have a very interesting topic for you, and one that is quite relevant for those of you in the retirement community, as I hope all of my episodes are. I received an email a few days ago from the Defense Finance and Accounting Service, and I want to share that email with you because it's got some rather interesting information in it, and inside that email is the information inside that email is what got me thinking about the topic of today's show. So here we go. Here's the email. And as you see, it's from DFAS from a few days ago. And the subject is third year of retirement, option to discontinue SBP coverage. And it's a very short message, and I'll go ahead and read it for you. So, retiree, you are receiving this message because you are entering your third year of retirement. Gosh, has it been that long? During the third year of retirement, i.e. between the 25th and 36 months of your retirement, you have a 1-year option to discontinue or stop your survivor benefit plan, SBP, participation. If you are married and covering a spouse or child, your spouse must agree with your decision to discontinue participation. For assistance with making your decision about this change, please contact your branch of service, Retiree Services Organization, for contact information. Contact information is on our website here, and it gives a short link. To learn more about this one-time option and how to discontinue, please see our website at another short link. Retired Pay, DFAS Cleveland. And that's the entire message. I'm going to post a copy of this with those links in the show notes, and I'm also going to go over those websites in this episode, so don't fret. You're going to see everything that was mentioned, and maybe a little more, maybe a little less, probably a bit more. Alright, so what is SBP for those who may not remember? The Survivor Benefit Plan is an income protection type annuity based on your retired pay. It's an income protection plan, in case of your death, that allows your beneficiary, your spouse or your children, to receive a type of income up to 55% for, in some cases, a limited amount of time, or in the case of your spouse, for life. In most circumstances, in the event of your death. And I'm going to post a video in which I explain it much better than I am right now, because there's just not going to be a whole lot of time for that here. Anyway, when you are receiving retired pay, and obviously I am, why else would I be receiving this message? During the third year of retirement, you have a one-time option to discontinue your survivor benefit coverage. Now, in my case, it's just an automatic thing, because I actually do not have survivor benefit coverage. I have no eligible beneficiaries, so it's just a form letter for me. But in most cases, people with eligible, or not in most cases, in all cases, people with eligible beneficiaries receive this letter and have the option to discontinue survivor benefit coverage. Now, personal opinion here, I do not think it is a good idea to discontinue survivor benefit coverage. And you've heard me say this in the past. I am quite a proponent of the SBP and the reserve component version, RCSBP. I have seen numerous cases in my career where the RCSBP and the SBP have been saving graces for retirees, and am a full supporter of both programs. I've also seen cases where people have turned down the program and then survivors have been left in the financial cold. So it's just not a good idea to go without these. Sure, you can argue for life insurance, but I've also seen people who have chosen life insurance, not paid the premiums, and again, survivors left in the financial cold. But that's a topic for another time. Back to this. So anyway, let's get to those links that the email was discussing. First, the first link in that email was simply a list of various contact information for the branches of service. That's pretty simple, so you can see that here. And for those of you in podcast land, obviously you can't see it, but just know it's there. It's for Air Force, Army, Marines, Navy, nothing for the Coast Guard, but we know they exist. Alright, so moving on to the other link. This is the one that is going to occupy most of our time. Most of this page is talking about SBP changes, not just ending SBP, but the various changes that can be made. So obviously I'm not going to have to spend all of my time going through every part of this page. One thing I am going to point out, I'm going to scroll down. Well, there we go. No. I'm trying to record the screen of my other of my computer while recording on the camera, and sometimes I get a bit lost which part of the screen is recording, because I've got two screens here, and then of course pay attention to the camera at the same time, so it makes things interesting. Alright, so canceling in the third year of retirement. You are free to cancel, or I'm reading from the screen here for those of you on the podcast. You are free to cancel or terminate your SBP election beginning in the 25th month through the 36th month or third year of your retirement. Please note that this window is an exit only, not an entrance, meaning that it applies only to withdrawing from an unwanted election and does not allow retirees to begin an election that they had earlier declined. As with declining at retirement, spousal concurrence is required. Now that is, I'm going to pause there, that is something to always keep in mind whenever you're turning down a spousal benefit, and that is what the SBP is. The person who is losing that benefit must concur. And of course the SBP was designed to benefit your spouse, so your spouse must concur with you refusing that benefit. Back to the page. Canceling or terminating SBP coverage in the third year of retirement is different than withdrawing from SBP coverage due to VA disability, sometimes referred to as discontinuation based on disability. And I'm going to cover that particular topic next week, so I'm going to skip everything below this particular sentence, because everything after the upcoming sentence is about withdrawing based on VA disability, and I don't want to get bogged down in VA matters here. I'll cover that next week. So anyway, if you believe you are eligible to withdraw from SBP, please complete a survivor benefit plan termination request, DD Form 2656-2, and mail or fax it to Defense Finance and Accounting Service, Retired and Annuitant Pay. And I'm going to include the contact information, mailing address and fax numbers. People still use faxes? How arcane. Anyway, bit of trivia. Fax machines or fax technology has been around since Civil War times. That's why I say how arcane or archaic, either way. So I'll put that information in the show notes, and we can talk about withdrawing due to VA disability next week. Another thing I want to cover is a fact sheet that was mentioned elsewhere. So also in that, on that same web page, on that same page, it's got a link to this fact sheet. Advantages of participating in SBP and disadvantages of withdrawing from SBP. And again, I'm not going to read all of the points on here because it's also talking about aspects involving VA disability, but I will cover some of these. So in making your decision about withdrawing from the survivor benefit plan, you should consider both the potential VA award of dependency and indemnity compensation and the amount of survivor benefit annuity. In addition, you should consider your legal obligations, such as a court order or divorce decree requiring you to maintain survivor benefit coverage before making your decision. Withdrawing from survivor benefit coverage due to VA disability, sometimes referred to as discontinuation based on disability, is different than terminating SBP coverage between the 25th and 36th month of retirement. For assistance in making your decision about withdrawing, please contact your branch of service retiree services organization. Alright, so there are several various things here. One of these topics, the very first one here, I covered recently, dependency and indemnity compensation. This is a survivor type payment for people who die with service-connected reasons or due to service-connected reasons and are receiving payments from the Veterans Administration. This causes a dollar-for-dollar offset in any military pay that is being received. However, this offset, starting in 2021, is going to be phased out, and in 2023 will be completely gone. So that's good news for annuitants, for survivors. Alright, here's a good definition of survivor benefit plans. SBP provides up to 55% of a service member's retired pay as an annuity to an eligible beneficiary upon the death of the member. The amount of the SBP annuity is a percentage of retired pay. The percentage depends upon whether the member chooses full or reduced coverage at the time of election, generally at retirement or at 20-year qualification. The annuity is paid monthly. The SBP annuity may be increased by cost of living adjustments, COLAs, after the member's death. Withdrawal from SBP will result in no SBP annuity monthly payments after the member's death, even if there is no DIC benefit. So keep that in mind. Alright, spouse SBP coverage. The amount of the SBP annuity and the DIC benefit that would be paid to a surviving spouse should be carefully considered before requesting withdrawal. Spouse SBP annuitants, except for those who remarry after age 57 or in other specific circumstances, cannot receive full SBP and DIC at the same time. Let me read that again. Spouse SBP annuitants, except for those who remarry after age 57 or in other specific circumstances, cannot receive full SBP and DIC at the same time. When we are informed by the VA that a spouse annuitant is receiving DIC, the law requires that DFAS deduct the amount of DIC received from the amount of SBP payable and pay the remaining amount of the SBP to the annuitant. This is called the SBP DIC offset. And I won't go into the examples. I'll just move on. Submitting your request to withdraw. To withdraw, please see the instructions in the cover letter of this packet. We're not seeing a packet, so we'll skip that. If you change your mind after you have submitted your request for withdrawal form, you may withdraw the request by notifying us in writing within 30 days of the date of your signature on the SBP withdrawal consent form. Hint, hint. Important note, withdrawal from the plan remains in effect as long as you are rated as totally disabled. That's something for next week, but I'm going to just throw it out there. That's something good to know. Alright, so that is something very good for everybody. Now, should you do this or not? Obviously, that's a personal decision, and I will throw my 2 cents in there a little bit. I would personally say not, but if you were sitting in front of me, I would be running some calculations and showing those to you. For example, I would calculate what your retired pay is, what the survivor benefit would be, and the value of the SBP over the estimated life of your beneficiary versus the amount of life insurance that would be required to equal that same value. And that estimate would include things such as taxes and an estimate for inflation, things of that nature. And the numbers are often surprising. Even for lower enlisted, E5, E6, for example, with moderate retirement points, the amount of life insurance to replace the survivor benefit plan often ends up being $800, $900, $1 million. So the survivor benefit plan is well worth the premiums that are paid for it, especially when you're talking about trying to find term life insurance at age 62. So you've got to consider what your options are. Now, there are other types of life insurance out there that might be a good option. There's participating whole life insurance that has its own advantages over term. It has a higher premium, of course, but has other advantages on top of just being a life insurance policy. And you can do your own research into what those are. Not being a financial advisor, I will not go into what those are right now. Alright, so those are the options that you have, or at least the various types of information out there for you to consider when you are faced with the option of whether to... Nope, there's one more thing. This is your one-time option to withdraw from the survivor benefit plan while you're in a retired status. And when you make that option, when you make that election, if you do choose to withdraw, it is a permanent election. I should say that before I sign off. It is a permanent election, and you can never, ever come back to the survivor benefit plan. No matter how much you beg, you can never come back. So if you have one of those estimates of how much the SBP is worth, you might want to keep that. That's one of the reasons why I would advise people not to leave. Is this is an irrevocable decision. It's a good benefit to have. It's not something that should be turned down, especially lightly. So if you are faced with this decision, think long and hard before choosing to do so. If you have questions about this, please contact me at dj@rcretirement.com, and I will be more than happy to walk you through what your options are, and I will even run some of those calculations I mentioned for you. In fact, I'm going to put a link in the show notes. It is a request for retired pay calculation, and if you would like one of the SBP versus life insurance comparisons that I mentioned, then fill out that request form. It's an online form. Fill out that request form, and in the comments section of the form, mention that you want a survivor benefit versus life insurance comparison. And I will generate that for you and email it to you. And of course, I'll ask that you perhaps make a donation to Patreon to support my efforts online, because that's what I do here, and that's just a natural thing. Alright, so like I said, if you have any questions about this particular topic, feel free to contact me and request further information. Otherwise, there are resources in the show notes that should be beneficial to you as well. I'm sure you know some other people who are in their second to third year of retirement and could also benefit from this information. So I ask that you also spread this information to them, be it in podcast or video form. Either way will work for them, or as long as they get the information in their heads, it's going to be a good thing regardless. Alright, if you would like to support my efforts, either through spreading information about this podcast, about this YouTube channel, that would be most appreciated. Getting the subscription numbers up, especially on YouTube, would be outstanding. If you would like to be a financial supporter, I invite you to come over to patreon.com/rcretirement and join at any of the monthly rates that are pre-established, or you can create one of your own. Remember that if you join at $25 per month and then choose to contract me for personal assistance through the fees for services page at rcretirement.com, I will give you a 20% discount off of any services I provide. So that's an additional benefit to you. Alright, so like I said, let's spread the information both on this topic and all of the others in my video inventory to everyone out there who can benefit from it. Until then, thank you for being part of this audience. Thank you for spending your time with me, and thank you for your service. Have a great day.
If you liked what you heard on today's episode, then please go below and give it a thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe to this channel. Also, please let other people know about this channel and the information it can provide for them. If you have questions or comments, then please have no qualms about posting them in the comments section below. Please remember the RC Retirement YouTube channel and the RC Retirement website are not recognized or endorsed by the Department of Defense, the Department of Veterans Affairs, or any other government agency. The information presented in these resources are for entertainment and informational purposes only. Also, the content of either of these resources should not be considered financial or legal advice. Please consult with your own legal counsel, accountant, or financial planner before making any decisions based on what you have learned here. As always, thank you for watching the RC Retirement YouTube channel.